Oh, Tashitele, hello. Hello, everyone. I hope you had good days before, and I hope you are fine, doing fine. Uh, yeah, and welcome back to the session. Yeah. So take a moment to settle ourselves in the present moment. You can use the breathing exercise for that. Yeah. So now take a few moments for refresh our refuge practice, then generate altruistic motivation in order to receive blessing of spiritual realization in our heart, and that also be the complete cause for enlightenment, liberation for oneself and the rest of for the benefit of the rest of the numberless sentient beings. In order to fulfill that objective swiftly, need to accumulate extensive merit. In order to do that, then engage or dedicate rest of our life, in particularly this very year, this very month, this very week, and this very day, and this very session, solely for the benefit of numberless sentient beings, temporary happiness up to the ultimate happiness of enlightenment. For that purpose, then, we go through the discourse of Lojong teaching, the mind training teaching, based on the great collections of the very essential and profound the teachings of the Buddha. Sanje Chodang Soje Chonamla Janju Bado Dane Jasoje Daje Soje Be Zonamje Dola Benje Sanje Drobarjo Sanje Chodang Soje Chonamla Janju Bado Dane Jasoje Daje Soje Be Zonamje Dola Benje Sanje Drobarjo Sanje Chodang Soje Chonamla Janju Bado Dane Jasoje Daje Soje Be Zonamje Dola Benje Sanje Drobarjo Sanje Chodang Soje Chonamla Janju Bado Dane Jasoje Daje Soje Be Zonamje Dola Benje Sanje Drobarjo Gange doje ne zone dawa damje bambe jire dambe jene denze bango damde la janse lo tonye nije sondo jube lama zeje zenje ganje dende gun chana bemo denzen jazo la sowa debzo da ju chinje lo Semje damje dewa dan deve judan dembra juje semje damje dunga da dunga je judan dawa juje semje damje dunga mebe dewa da mi dawa juje semje damje nyire jadan dan dawe dan yola nebra juje semje damje dewa dan deve judan dembra juje semje damje dunga da dunga je judan dawa juje semje damje dunga mebe dewa da mi dawa juje semje damje nyire jadan dan dawe dan yola nebra juje semje damje dewa dan deve judan dembra juje semje damje dunga Dunga jeju dan dawa jeje zemje damje dunga mebe dewa dami dawa jeje zemje damje nyere chanda nyi danda tanyo la ne bara juru je. Yeah, we take few moments now to meditate on the four immeasurable thoughts. Either all the four immeasurable or the immeasurable of love, immeasurable of compassion, or immeasurable of kindness, or immeasurable on equanimity. Keeping numberless sentient beings who are, unbearably suffering in the cyclic existence, in particularly those of hell beings, hungry ghosts, animals, and those of humans. So many, tragedies, so many different type of sufferings. In particularly those of humans that who, instead of using intelligent human capability of intelligence to think rightly, but then overwhelmed with the delusion and hurt themselves and harm others. So keeping those in our heart as object of our prayer. Then even in the spiritual world, even in the Buddhist spiritual world, even how much we how long we have entered in Buddha Dharma, how long we have been practicing, but then instead of Dharma getting into the heart, but then unable to subdue the mind, and in many cases also misuse of the Dharma, and they pollute the heart, like Dharma pollution, then which is more devastating than the suffering of hell being. Very, very, very serious. Because when medicine become a poison, then so difficult to cure, and it become very serious. Dharma is the medicine, antidote to the delusion, but then while practicing Dharma, instead of subduing the delusion, purifying the delusion, but then inflame the delusion, attachment, grasping, anger, hatred, etc., wrong views, then is a tremendous, obstacle to be free from cyclic existence. Then also the gods and demigods, even though be born in the higher realm compared to the three low realm, which adorned with all the material comforts, abundance, but then the suffering of fight, aggressiveness, etc. There's so much, and particularly the suffering of facing the death. The when the karma exhausts, in the life of a God realm, then the near death sufferings that God's experience is so painful, like that. So keeping all of them in our heart, then send our metta and compassion to heal them, like that. And also keep in our heart those people whom we know, they are in trouble, they are suffering, either financially, in relationship, or any physical or mental health issues. So we keep all of them in our heart and send our prayers to them. In particularly, we come together to do a short meditation on the immeasurable of equanimity. The world in this time, so much divisions, with the political differences. Then, so many, conflict of interests. So much disharmony. Environmentally, so much destructions of disharmony due to that. So much elemental disruptions. Then even the living beings, even the humans, so much of conflicting minds, conflicting. Due to that, there's no peace at all. Not only no peace, but also contribute divisions, contribute to destabilize our heart, even towards Dharma. Is overwhelming, all these tragedies. So, in front of the refuge and merit field and all the lineage gurus, we pray and we develop a strong, force of the immeasurable equanimity in our heart. Then, through the frequency of our prayers, love, kindness, and compassion, we share to the rest of the world, so that we can able to contribute from our part to create more better world, to create more peaceful world. Oh yeah, okay, thank you. Okay, so we will continue from where we stopped last time, and that is on page 115. And we are still studying Sage Chibuchuki Janzen's commentary on 7-point thought transformation, and we have done up to the 4th point from the 7th point, and today we will go through the 5th point, which is on page 115, and the point is presentations of the measure of having trained the mind. The 5th point, the measure of having trained the mind is presented by the following: the intent of all teachings coverage on a single point. So the measure of having trained the mind on this particular subject is very important to be very clear. In fact, from the very first day when we show interest in Buddha Dharma, in Buddhist spirituality. I think many, even after for so long engaging in Buddhist studies, Buddhist practices, some may still wondering what is the real purpose of studying Dharma, contemplating on Dharma, meditating on Dharma, relating to the Guru, taking refuge, taking vows, becoming Sangha, dedicating life in retreats, some taking as a role of Dharma teacher, some taking as a role of volunteers in Dharma projects, Dharma organizations. Some get into extensive philosophical learnings, or extensive learning on Lamrim or Lojong, etc., 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 etc. And some may think that knowing a lot, studying philosophy, extensive Buddhist philosophy, spend many years, and knowing a lot of the philosophical treatise, and thinking that is the purpose of that is the meaning or purpose of practicing Dharma. Some may think like that. Some may think that receive a lot of initiations, maybe that is the Dharma. That is the purpose of why you practice Dharma. Or receive a lot of initiations, and also conducting a lot of retreat, and jotting down how many retreat you complete, how many numbers of mantra that you have accumulated, and have sense of that I have done such and such, and achieving many numbers of that is practicing Dharma. The purpose of the reason of practicing Dharma. Some may think that accumulating many numbers of different numbers of the Ngondo retreats, like hundreds and hundreds thousands of satsas, hundreds and thousands prostrations, hundreds and thousands of water bowls, etc., etc., etc. Thing, as long as you're able to accumulate the number, as long as you have done and you have noted that done, you achieve the purpose of practicing the Dharma. Then some may think that you renounce the lay and you get the vow and wear the robes and spend a life in monastery or in the Sangha life. That's it. The title that you are ordained, maybe thinking that is the whole reason of why practicing Dharma, or that means practicing Dharma. Some after study and become leading some students and called as a Dharma teacher, and you achieve that title, and you are taking that position and may think that is the practicing Dharma. Some found the guru and just follow the instruction, basically the instructions of the general kind of guide, maybe dedicating your life in the service of some projects, or be an accountant in the project, or etc., and that's it. That is the since you listen to the guru in that manner, and that is enough, and that is a practicing Dharma. Then some may think that you develop single-pointed concentration and you achieve clairvoyance, certain stability of mind, and maybe that is the Dharma, that is the whole purpose. And as long as you're pursuing that, and something good thing may happen, etc. Or you're building your empire of your followers, your supporters, even building big monasteries, and getting a lot of fame, degrees in Buddhist studies, may think that maybe that is the purpose and practice of Dharma. But if any of this, and similar to those, if didn't become the purpose of eradicating the self-grasping and self-cherishing attitude, nothing becomes Dharma. Okay, the point is that the intention, initial motivation, when we are actually engaging in any form of Dharma activities, Dharma practices, including following Guru's advice, doing retreats, daily yoga retreats, even can be three-year great retreats or whole lifetime retreats. Or even after you achieve the greatest amount of knowledge, including philosophical knowledge, the entire 84,000 you memorize and can chant without looking at the text. The intention, the actual action, and the ending, the dedication, didn't become a purpose of subduing, eradicating, eliminating, purifying self-grasping and self-cherishing attitude, then nothing has ever fulfilled the purpose of why we are practicing Dharma. Nothing will fulfill the purpose of meeting the Dharma, becoming Sangha, getting a lot of initiation, having Guru, having chance to study a lot, having chance to do a retreat a lot. Nothing fulfilled the purpose of practicing the Dharma. So it's very, very clear. Okay, so this section is very, very important. Otherwise, in the name of Dharma, we may waste so much of our precious time. In fact, all our time, there's a danger of infused by eight worldly concern. It happened to be, it all kind of stained by eight worldly concern without knowingly carrying this title of that, I am practitioner, I am Sangha, I am teacher, I am Dharma student, I am retreater, I am meditator, I am Rinpoche, I am Geshe, I am this and I am that, I achieved this, I achieved that. If any of this didn't cause the demolishing of the, or dismantling of the whole of self-grasping attitude and self-cherishing attitude, all become wasted. Therefore, where we call as the Dharma pollution comes from, because of any form of Dharma that didn't become, the actual purpose of Dharma, which is to subdue, which is to eradicate, purify self-grasping and self-cherishing attitude. As long as that didn't happen, purification of karma not happens. As long as this didn't happen, clearing of the ignorance and delusion didn't happen. As long as this didn't happen, there's no increasement of wisdom. There's no increasement of the light on the path to liberation, And this stain, in fact, become obstacle to our mind. Yes, even though they may, create some minor virtues, but those virtues, if it's not genuinely infused by the mind of renunciation, renouncing the grasping, the grasping ignorant, not renouncing the actual root cause of the faults and samsara, the grasping ignorant, then even the vow we have didn't become proper vow. Even we have initiation, the initiation didn't become proper initiation. Whatever form of practice we practice didn't become cause of liberation, because there's no renunciation. If Dharma is not infused by renunciation, it never become path, genuine path to liberation. So that is the fact. So due to that, then, the more we have knowledge, there are, the danger that we become more nastier person. There's a danger of before knowing the Dharma, we are okay, we are samsara, but okay. But after knowing the Dharma, we become even worse. And we label that as that particular individual is contaminated by Dharma pollution. And the meaning, as I explained before, like that. So so even it's so harmful for this very lifetimes, scenario. But how heavy, harmful, how serious harm that it caused to us because of not practicing clearly, genuine Dharma, then that bring obstacle to many eons lifetimes in the future. You see, when we learn about the preciousness of precious human rebirth and the heavy consequences of negative karmas, and once we fall into the negative realm, then how hard, how difficult for us to gain this human wonderful intelligence, if we are unable to utilize this correctly and clearly in this lifetime. Yeah. So just sum up with one word, as I mentioned, every single form of practices in the initial level, in the actual practice, even at the end of the practice, it has to be the antidote to eradicating the self-grasping and self-cherishing attitude. And that has to happen. Even it can be just one minor step, but that has to happen. Okay? So not only for Lojong, but this is for entire Dharma practices. So that intent of all teachings, intent of three yanas teachings, intent of the three higher training practices. Whether you practice morality, whether you practice concentration, whether you practice wisdom. When we talk about the morality, there are moral precept to the lay practitioners of the Dharma, moral precept to the ordained practitioner of the Dharma. It include everything. Then the concentration, whether it's just whether it's very beginner practice of cultivation of concentration on the virtue, or including the training in the shamatha. You see. Then when it comes to wisdom, whether it's to do with the wisdom of emptiness of self, or whether to do with the emptiness of phenomena, everything has to be for single point. Intended for the converge on the single point, which is to subdue the self-grasping attitude, to purify, to be antidote to the elimination of self-grasping and self-cherishing attitude. Whether we follow the philosophical lineage, or whether we follow the Lamrim lineage, whether we follow the instruction lineage, whatever lineage that we follow in the pursuit of our spiritual practices, the has to be for one single purpose: to subdue the self-grasping attitude. Whether we practice Vinaya, or whether we practice Sutra, Mayani Sutra, or whether we practice Tantra, has to be for purpose of eliminating self-grasping attitude. Whether we're practicing 4 classes of Tantra, action, Kriya, Yoga, even Haisuke Tantra, the sole purpose is to eliminate self-grasping attitude. Devoting to Guru, sole purpose is to eliminate the self-grasping attitude. The whole purpose of Guru towards us, the Guru's kindness, Guru's blessing, Guru's guidance to us, all has to be targeted to the elimination of self-grasping within us. Offering service in the center, in any form, in the name of Dharma, doing charity, managing projects, anything, running organizations. During sadhana, during retreat, everything has to be for the purpose of eliminating self-grasping attitude. From the motivation, we have to be very clear with that. You see, even our class here, the ultimate purpose of the class, why we are studying Lojong, is to eliminate the self-grasping attitude. So since I have to carry I'm leading the class, my motivation has to be solely for that. When you go through the text, when you explain the text, whatever wordings there are, whatever different topics comes by, everything has to be targeted to deliver the message, to deliver the knowledge, to making sure the listener to understand the whole ultimate purpose is to eradicate the self-grasping and self-challenging attitude. The Dharma teaches, whatever language, whatever way that you express it, whatever text you use, but we have to be very clear from the motivation. The purpose has to be for that. So therefore, from the listener side, to show interest to listen the Dharma, while listening the Dharma, even at the end, at the dedication, the ultimate purpose has to be, remember, the targeting to eliminate the self-grasping and self-cherishing attitude. In that way, everything becomes pure Dharma. Otherwise, we just carry the name, but then sometimes we also don't know whether we are committing virtue or sometimes committing negative karma. We don't know, because if we continue to commit worldly Dharma, it's a heavy karma. In the name of Dharma, then we still become so worldly. In the name of Dharma, carrying the name, Dharma class, Dharma teaching, I'm Dharma student, I'm going for the lecture, I'm Dharma teacher, giving Dharma teaching Lojong, but then the motivation is not there to the subduing of self-grasping, self-challenging attitude. You are not sure, you are not clear what you are doing, and that may enhance the worldly way rather than, really receive the blessing, from the study of Dharma to really to help ourselves to achieve the actual spiritual purpose, which is to eradicate and eliminate self-grasping and self-cherishing attitude. Even all the pujas, when we do all the pujas, any form of pujas, including the sud pujas, everything has to be intended to eliminate the self-grasping, self-challenging attitude. Okay, so it's have to be very, very clear. Yeah. So now I will read from the text. The scripture and the treatise were taught for the purpose of overcoming self-grasping. Thus, there's no target other than this for the tree of study, reflection, and meditation to destroy. You see, the form of gradually developing ourselves, through the spiritual path, using these three major tools, study the Dharma, then contemplating on what you have studied, then gain the wisdom of contemplation, then meditate, bring habituation to your mind. All these three things, the ultimate purpose is to eradicate the self-grasping, overcoming the self-grasping attitude, like that. Other than that, there's no other purpose, there's no other target, no other purpose, other than subduing the self-grasping attitude. There's no other purpose in studying Buddhism. There's no other purpose contemplating in the Dharma. There's no other purpose in meditating in the Dharma. Very clear, isn't it? Very clear here. When examined, the selfhood of the person is as non-existent as the horn of the rabbit. Nevertheless, it has made us suffer since beginningless time. The main reason is that
whenever we work for the self-grasping attitude, we are working for something is non-existent, because the selfhood is as equal as the rabbit horn. The rabbit has no horn, but if someone claim, someone perceive, someone apprehend rabbit horn on the rabbit, is a mistaken apprehension, mistaken perception, and mistaken view. You see, so similar way, the self-grasping attitude is the attitude, apprehending attitude, perceiving attitude, cherishing attitude to the selfhood as an inherent existence is uh, is a false perception, is a mistaken apprehension, is hallucinational, apprehension. You see, so like that. So because the reason why we need to eliminate, some may think, then what's the big deal? Even I hallucinate, even I misperceive. What's the big deal with that? Why you need to walk too much? Some people may think like that. The problem is that mistaken view play the root cause to bring all the suffering from beginningless lifetime, if you believe, or from the beginningless of this life until today. All the misery, all the misfortunes which we do not wish to experience comes in our way because of that mistaken perception, mistaken view on the self. That is the reason. So since anyone do not wish to experience even one single moment, one slightest form of suffering, then we need to eliminate the root cause of that suffering, and that is the wise one. So therefore, it would be the wisest that when you cultivate any form of practices that which will act as an antidote to eliminate the self-grasping. And that is the best way to take care of ourselves. That is the most wise way to help ourselves, take care of ourselves. This is the wisest way to express love and compassion to ourselves. So if we want to express love and kindness and compassion to others, we have to put effort to deliver this correct wisdom to others. Therefore, in the practice of generosity, the highest form of generosity is called as a generosity of Dharma. Generosity of Dharma meaning is awakening others from the ignorance of holding the wrong view on the selfhood. So observe and analyze whether all your endeavor of body, speech, and mind are directed toward reinforcing your grasping at the selfhood of a person, or bringing it is downfall. You see, so so we need to check. The one of the mindfulness that we have to have all the time at the initial, in a motivational time, at the actual engage of the practice, and at the end, whether the journey of your spirituality in these three phases become a pure Dharma practice or not, pure Dharma or not, become a pure cause of liberation or not, is by analyzing whether this motivation, this practice, this dedication of my time becoming the fuel to the self-grasping attitude, or becoming the antidote to eliminate the self-grasping attitude. Have to check like that. So this is what it means. Or in another way, we need to examine now and then, in particularly, at the end of any practices, whether it's learning, whether it's contemplating, whether it's meditating, or any form of Dharma practices we engage, is there any sign of decreasement of self-grasping or not? If there's a decreasement of self-grasping, then that is the right sign. That's a good sign that our practice become a real practice of Dharma. If even after we meditate for long, even after we engage the practice for so long, so many hours, but at the end, there's a increasement of self-grasping attitude. Then that means those practices didn't become Dharma practice. Didn't become beneficial. You see, so that we have to check. You see, so when we talk about increasing of self-grasping and decreasement of the self-grasping is very much checked through the different phases of the self-grasping, like such as anger, attachment, jealousy, pride, ego, superstitiousness, any form of harmful attitudes, harmful deeds in relation to our body, speech, and mind. If it is increasing, that means the Dharma practices didn't become Dharma practice. Rather, it may be what you call influence or contaminate by by negative basis. You see. You see. So each time we practice, if these negative emotions are getting less and lesser, even it may be just one moment or 1% of its power is getting lesser, that means our practices are becoming a real spiritual practice of Dharma. So if they are, it says, if they are reinforcing it, you are striving solely out of the 8 mundane concern and for the pursuit of greatness in this life. So it's very clearly, it says, after practicing Dharma, these delusions are increasing, the graspings are increasing, then that means the practice has to be infused by 8 mundane concern, 8 worldly concern, meaning that we must be doing the practice. We must be doing the practice for worldly gain, or we must be doing the practice in order to eliminate the worldly losses. We must be engaging the practices for temporal sensual worldly pleasures, desirous pleasures, and we must be practicing to reduce sensual and the temporary miseries, or we must be practicing to gain acknowledgement, to gain praises, to boost our ego, or we must be practicing to eliminate degradations, you see, or we must be practicing for reputations, just to practice to let people know, to gain reputation that you are a good meditator, good retreater, good monk, good teacher, good practitioner, etc. That worldly kind of for reputation, or to eliminate, to just cover up those faults or infamy. See. So if it's infused by any of this, worldly concern, then whatever practice we do, instead of decreasing the self-grasping, rather it will inflame or reinforce the grasping attitude in our heart. So then that is, that didn't become a pure Dharma. And that is, as a worldly, is no different than just pursuing, the greatness of this life, So as far as concerned with the spiritual practice, Buddhism, Buddha Dharma practice, then the purpose has to be beyond these lifetimes. The purpose has to be for liberation, purpose has to be liberation. You see, even from the three scopes of the teaching, the renunciation, the first scope is to renounce three lower realms and pursue of the higher realm. Is very much is taking a first step to the ultimate liberation. It's not just to obtain higher rebirth and full stop there. If just to eliminate the reborn in the lower realm and just to be born in a higher rebirth, the human and God, if that is the ultimate, then that is not pure Dharma. You see, that is not a genuine renunciation that described in the Dharma. You see, so as a very beginner, as a very lowest capable, so it is not possible we directly able to have the capability to achieve all the path to the absolute liberation. So you need to move gradually. So the first step is to move towards the higher rebirth. But taking in count that that step is actually the step to the ultimate liberation, like that. So otherwise, it become a worldly pursuit, and that is not Dharma. You see, so whether it's Dharma or not Dharma is defined by very much defined by whether that practice is infused by renunciation, whether that practice is purpose for the liberation. That is how you define whether it's worldly Dharma or whether it's pure Dharma. You see, so renunciation. Renunciation is so renunciation here is renunciation as mentioned before. Renunciation, renouncing the self-grasping. Minimum the self-grasping. You see, so in the Mahayanic Dharma, in the Lojong and Mahayanic Dharma, or in Tantra, the renunciation, when we talk about self-grasping, that self-grasping you just interpret slightly more broadly than self-grasping and the self-cherishing attitude. Even that self-cherishing attitude is by the basis of the self-grasping attitude. You see, so just in the saying, in the wording, just make difference. But whenever you pronounce self-grasping attitude, in fact, the self-cherishing attitude, all included in the accordance of the teachings of the Mahayanic Dharma. But then in the contents of the pursuit of the self-nirvana, then when the self-grasping attitude is still the main key thing to be renounced. But then not mentioned, not elaborated, not included the self-cherishing attitude. You see, so based on the capability of the practitioner, how advanced and how elaborate that you want to interpret about this self-grasping attitude, like that. So, so if the pursuit of the Dharma is for this life's purpose, if it's for the fulfillment of the eight mundane, if this is the case, then even if you are observing ethical discipline within with dedication, you have erred with regard to your paternal spiritual lineage. So this is exactly what I have mentioning in the introduction before. If even someone that who observing like a sangha vow, monastic vow, but that vow is not clearly intended with the mind of renunciation towards the grasping and in absolute pursuit of liberation, but rather it is infused by the eight mundane concern, then the vow has an error. Vow, you have an error with the regard to your paternal spiritual lineage. That means the lineage of the when you take any vow, starting from the refuge vow, and of course ordination vow, it is a spiritual lineage that has to be passed down, from the enlightened one, and to the master to disciple, the holder of the vow to the disciple. Whenever there is uh, someone don't hold the vow within themselves, they have nothing to pass the vow to the others, because you don't have the lineage, you see. So someone that who want to pass down the vows, in order to hold the pure spiritual lineage of that vows, that you need to have the pure renounced vows, whether to do with the refuge or whatever, renounced vows. In Tibetan is very clearly in the Vinaya stated, Ngejung Domba. Domba is a vow. Ngejung means renunciation. It has to be Ngejung Domba, you see. So otherwise, you may be wearing robe, you may be claiming that you are Sangha, but you are monk or nun, or you hold the Buddhist vow, Tantric vow, or you hold the refuge vow, you hold the 5-lay vow. But in actual fact, that lineage of the vow in your continuum is already errored. Because simply the reason is because of not having the renunciation, because the 8 mundane concerns are the influence to your pursuit of that vows. You see, in another way, even though the 8 mundane concern may not be obvious in your heart in remembrance, but as long as you don't have the mind of renunciation, your lineage is erring. Okay, it's very serious, extremely serious. This one, you see, extremely serious. Extremely serious. To take the mind of renunciation as more important than our own life in our own heart. You see, otherwise, we may be wearing the robe, then spend our life in actual fact didn't really achieve anything. You see, just some name of saying I'm Sangha, yes, able to secure a lot of virtues, but then those virtues unable to become a cause of liberation. It will still become a cause of samsara. Like all the goodness that we enjoy in samsara is a byproduct of a virtue of the past. But those virtues are simply virtue, but never have become dharma. If those virtues that we accumulated to enjoy, good health, long life, beautiful look, and comfort, in our human lives, all those virtues, if we didn't get mistake, if we didn't forget to infuse by the proper renunciation in the past lifetime, by now all those virtues may able to lead us already into the state of liberation. But we are still in samsara. Yes, we are enjoying a lot of samsaric things, good health, etc. Yes, definitely they are the result of virtue. Yes, but still suffering, but still samsara. You see, it still falls. You see, still condemnation. You see, so therefore, now we have to make sure from this very, very clear teaching. We have to make sure, very straightforward. We have to really examine into ourselves. If we are holding monastic vows or tantric vows, Buddhist vows, or even refuge or whatever. Especially those who hold these vows, we really have to check ourselves. Maybe we may find out that we have wasted so much of our time. We have been, like myself, I have been monk for over 30 years now, I think. You see, so over 30 years, carrying the label of monk, carrying the label of you have vows, you have refuge vow, Buddhist vow, tantric vow, this and that, there's so many lists, but don't know how many of those days, how many of those years while I'm carrying this title, do I really fulfill the purpose of why I took the vow? which to be for the purpose of enlightenment, the liberation. And if I have the error due to the Edmonton concern, due to not having renunciation, I wasted my time. Yes, definitely I must have accumulated a lot of virtue, but those virtues, again, is still, as I mentioned before, cause of samsaric pleasure, which is still in the nature of suffering, you see. And I don't know, I have no confidence when I die from this life, whether I will have another round of chance for a long time to cultivate the vow, to cultivate the Dharma. You see, even having all the conducive condition, lacking of understanding, lacking of mindfulness, that all my practices, all my 30 over years wasted in cultivation of practicing pure Dharma, is all accumulation of worldly Dharma, is a huge loss. It's a huge loss. And not only that, with the worldly Dharma, you create a lot of negativities too. You see, there's a danger of even being lied. You are not really holding pure vow, then you still claim that you hold it. But in actual case, you have no awareness, you have no even a motivation of this renunciation. You see, there's even a danger of accumulating heavy negative karma. You see, so therefore, this is extremely serious, extremely serious. You see, yeah. That's why as far as concerned with refuge, as far as concerned with Buddhist vow, as far as concerned with tantric vow, including the Sangha vows, every day we need to refresh it, isn't it? The tantric vow, Buddhist vow, refuge, we need to refresh 6 times a day minimum. Minimum 6 times, like 6 session guru yoga, like that, you see, minimum 6 times, you see. And at least every day, even though we are not able to carry the mindfulness full time in all action of the renunciation towards our practices, but at least 6 times, make sure at least in the intentional level that we are infused by the pure, genuine renunciation, renouncing. Why I'm taking refuge, because I want to eliminate the self-grasping attitude. Then when you retake the Buddhist vow, why you take the Buddhist vow? To eradicate the self-grasping and self-charity attitude. When you remind the Sangha vow every day, we do every morning. The moment you wake up, as the fully ordained Sangha, there's a very short prayer which you memorize and just read through it. You reflect on all the vows, you refresh, and also if there's any transgression, you purify them. You see, and not just waiting for Lojong. The Lojong is, yes, big, bigger. It's an immense of great opportunity, which is so important. Of course, one of the major thing, but negativities, has a power to increase. The defect of the precepts, the vows, has power to increase. Transgression has power to increase. So you cannot take chance even for one moment, to transgress that. And in other side of the picture, the death is certain, time of death is so uncertain. In any moment, life can be gone. You see, so therefore, if we die, we took the vow, but if we die with the transgression, that is so unfortunate. You see, so therefore, take as much as opportunity as possible. At least once a day, you refresh the vows. You refresh the vow. You do the purification. You see, and all that has to be infused by the renunciation. Otherwise that refreshment also won't become ngejungi domba. It won't become the vow of the renunciation. You see, so it's a serious thing. You see. Yeah. I continue reading. Page 118. Page 116. Sorry. So even if you are training the mind through study, reflection, and meditation, the practice has gone away. You see, so without renunciation, even so-called as training our mind, and training our mind, like try to develop bodhicitta, try to develop loving kindness, compassion, and try to be more kind, more generous to other. But but it is not infused by the renunciation, not targeting to eliminate the self-grasping, self-cherishing attitude, that the practice has no weight. Practice cannot develop effectively, you see, so like that. On the other hand, if you endure troubling self-grasping, you are achieving the true purpose of ethical discipline within industry, and you are training the mind with the skillfulness. So like that. So in this way, by giving raise, in this way, so that's why you see, here comes very important to if it's a sangha, then very important to stay in a monastic until that you become fully matured, stable renunciation in your heart, like these beginners, it's so important to remain under a direct tutor, direct guidance of the qualified teachers and qualified seniors is so important, you see, because like when we are young, when we're in monastery, we really don't understand renunciation, but the guru, the teacher, the tutor, remind us every single day, remind us the purpose of why you become monk, you see, purpose of why you need to go to memorization of the text, purpose of why you need to go to classes. First of all, overall, remind us what is the purpose of your life. You see, the purpose of life is to renounce the samsara, to renounce the self-grasping, self-cherishing. We don't understand what is talking about self-grasping, self-cherishing, but then in the language of the children, in the language of the newcomer, they really make us understand. They really make us understand, and we forget immediately later. But at least in the motivation, they infuse the motivation, and we carry on. Memorization. We carry on the studies. And that at the end of the day, when we after a long time, after study, after you understand, then you realize that you didn't waste your life, even though you whole day memorizing blah 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 blah. No understanding at all. But then the end conclusion, guru also, the teacher, the tutor also tells you that your life have been not wasted. Your life have been meaningful. And you also realize, wow, yes. Why? Because all are infused by the mind of renunciation. Then, of course, as a Mahayanic, institution, remind you with the motivation of bodhicitta. You see, so indirectly, it's always infused by selflessness and wisdom of selflessness and wisdom of, the method of, altruistic attitude. Very skillfully, like that, you see. Like that. So therefore, those who don't have opportunity to be in that kind of environment, we really need a teacher. We really need pure Dharma friends, pure Dharma brothers, sisters. Remind each other. Remind each other this core important, basis of the practices. Because in many time, even though our age is old, but we really, behave like a childish, like me. I don't know about you, but me, you forget, you just get distracted, even though you may know a lot of things, you may doing a lot of sessions, but then just somehow, the mind gets just distracted. Distracted meaning you may remember to recite mantra, you may remember to read text, but you may not remember the renunciation. You may not remember the faults of self-grasping attitude. Okay, if that happens, distracted. You see, so really we need to remind. We need someone to remind us. You see. So sometimes it's very beneficial to even put a big sign in our room, or a walkway wherever you are, like remember renunciation. Remember the whole purpose is to eradicate the self-grasping and self-cherishing attitude. So remind you, like that. You see, but the best is you train your mind to to remember, to carry this mindfulness. Then no worries. Like that. So I continue reading. In this way, by giving rise to genuine mind training realization in your mind, you can likewise attain the full measure of Dharma practices. Since this is the benchmark of determining whether a Dharma practice has truly become a Dharma practice, the master said, this is the long bar of the scale on which the practitioner is weighed. So very clear, isn't it? So even the name, the name of the Dharma, the Dharma, the name, the Dharma, Che, means fixed or transform or purify or eradicate, you see. So Che can be also say in the Che means fixed. You see, so fix what? Fix the self-grasping attitude. Fix our mind by fix our mind. From the damage that caused by self-grasping attitude and self-cherishing attitude. So Che, Dharma, transform. What transform? Transform our mind and get awakened from by eliminating the self-grasping and self-cherishing attitude. You see, so Che, also understand purify. Purify what? Purify the self-grasping attitude. The moment when you purify self-grasping and self-cherishing attitude, you are awakened. You see, you are awakened in the path. You see, so Che can be understand eradicate the self-grasping and self-cherishing attitude. So by eradicating these two, what you achieve the method aspect of the path and wisdom aspect of the path. And when method and wisdom aspect of the path develop the state of absolute liberation or full enlightenment. That's it. You see. So the practitioners, whether you are true practitioner of Dharma or not, whether you're practicing pure Dharma or not, is weighed by by how effective that you are. In the eradication of the self-grasping, self-cherishing attitude. So benchmark determine whether Dharma practice has become Dharma practice is a long bar of the scale which practitioner weight like that. So learn how to turn all your endeavor of body, speech, and mind into antidotes of self-grasping. So what actually mean by weighing is very much, you're able to turn you're able to turn all actions of your body, speech, and mind as an antidote to self-grasping attitude. Okay, so if you're able to do that, then all endure of your body, speech, and mind become a Dharma, pure Dharma. So therefore, we have to, if someone is a beginner, then we need to learn this. We need to learn how to turn all your endeavor of body, speech, and mind into antidote to self-grasping. If we learn that, then we learn the Dharma. If we understand that, we understood the Dharma. If we're able to practice this way, we're able to practice Dharma correctly, like that. Okay, so of the two witness, uphold the principal one. So people might say of you, this brother's heart has become softened. like a piece of wool that is taken out of water after being washed. Genuine spiritual practice has risen in him. True Dharma practitioner refer to all who are like him, not being disapproved by those who are reputedly sublime is the form of witness. But this should not be the principal one. Why? Because others may praise you when they observe one or two good actions, or when you do a few things that please them. But other people cannot fully penetrate the depth of your character. So we cannot determine, our practice based on someone acknowledging our practice. We have to understand ourselves, our own character. Our own character is free of boosting self-grasping attitude. Rather, it is being antidote to self-grasping attitude. Then we can say that's how we determine ourselves, how good our practice is. Not by acknowledge of others. So among the two, you check your own mind, based on the weight, as mentioned before, your action of body, speech, and mind becoming antidote to self-grasping or not. If that is happening, then you regard yourself as a good practitioner. If that is not happening, then based on that you determine which stage that you have developed in a spiritual journey. Not based on someone telling you. What then is the principal witness? So what is the principal witness? Regard it to be not becoming the object of your own disapproval. Disapproval. So that's it. Your honest heart, should not be the object of your disapproval of your honest heart. Honest heart of your spiritual journey. You see, so even from the very beginning, when we talk about the quality of disciple, the three qualities that describe, non-partial, intelligent, and effort in the practice, to bring benefit of spiritual journey, that the student need these three qualities. The first quality, the non-partial here, can be understand that you are clear your purpose of your spirituality. You're clear why you are practicing Dharma, why you are learning Dharma, why you are why you are engaged, why you are having guru, etc. All the practices. Clear mind. The clarity here is talking about your heart, non-partial. Your heart is not mixing with the eight worldly and Dharma and the worldly concern. Your heart has to be absolutely driven by renunciation. The renunciation, of samsara, and renunciation of self-grasping attitude. In short, renouncing the self-grasping attitude and perceiving the liberation. That is the non-partial attitude. So this is it's the very first knowledge we need to have if you really want to bring the absolute benefit of spirituality. You see. So so then, if anything that against your objective of spirituality, then you are still indulging it, then your practices fail. You see. So anything that really fulfilling that purposes, then your honest heart approve your practices of body, speech, and mind as all as a form of Dharma. Okay, I read. You should be able to feel that even if you were die this evening, you should have done nothing more. So have to practice that way. Every practice has to be that way. For you have striven to the best of your capacity with faith, intelligence, and perseverance. You see, So even the faith, intelligence, and perseverance, this is also the regarding the qualification of the student, qualification of the disciple of this Buddha Dharma. Faith is faith towards liberation. You see, intelligent, that you have this intelligent capability to understand what is Dharma and what is non-Dharma. What is antidote to grasping and what is not. Then perseverance. Every effort. You have this joyous perseverance to deliver the first two objectives, the liberation and the actual perfection in the virtues and the dharmas. So regardless of how weak this may have been, such that your guts become filled with air and blood and water gushes out of them. For you have striven the best of your capability with faith, intelligence, and perseverance, regardless of how weak this may have been, such that your guts become filled with it, and blood and water gas out of them. Is meaning very much how weak your practice may be. Whatever it is, still there is an effect of decreasement, a decreasement of the self-grasping, self-grasping attitude, like that. Oh, at that point you have trained the qualified stage of meditative practice. So at that point, you have trained qualified stage of meditative practice. So the effect of proper habituation in the practice. Then that is the result of that you achieve certain stability, like the meditative practice, which means that is not superficial. It is in depth. You see, it's not just in the word, but it really means it like that. So therefore, hold this fact of not being the object of your own disapproval as a principal witness, like that. Then cultivate constantly the joyful mind alone. This line suggests that having trained your mind and tested the flavor of the true Dharma practice, no matter what adverse circumstances befall you, you experience no disturbances within for you. Immediately think, I can cultivate it, remedy the true awakening mind. That is the quality of the true Dharma practitioner. In any adversities, never retaliate, never disturb, rather everything turn into a development of the wisdom and bodhicitta. You see, so this is the practice of all the great masters, whether to do with Indian masters, whether to do with Kadamba masters. Why the Kadamba masters have been most effective delivering enlightenment within short very lifetime is because all the Kadamba masters their life went through a very lot of different tragedies. Whenever you read their biographies, because of their outlook, because of their appearances are very simple, humble, poor, ragged, like that. Then in a worldly world, people abuse. If you look poor, if you look, if you don't have a material power, then you are abused. You are taken advantage, like that. But then the Kadamba masters, they especially took all those harms, to instead of retaliating, like what exactly said in 8 verses by Geshe Langri Thangpa. That's it, all the, like Geshe Langri Thangpa's, the 8 verses of thought transformation is their experience, it happened to them, all the step by step, it happened to them, such kind of like, they were harmed, the step by step. You read the 8 verses of thought transformation. Okay, so this week, one of the homework is go read through the 8 verses of thought transformation. So these are the practitioner experience that. Then the reply to those experiences is the teaching that they describe there. You see, describe there. So because of that, the 2 wing, which is the wisdom and method, able to develop so fast. That's why they have actualized enlightenment within one very short lifetime, and unlikely than many other practitioners. So so the practitioner's life is not comfortable one, not a comfortable one outwardly, but inwardly, they are all the time union with bliss, because they have the tool of wisdom and method, because everything, take on to the path to enlightenment. I read, remaining unassailed in such a manner is also a measure of having trained your mind. Yeah. So you see, so we as ordinary people, we live in an ordinary world, and you must be, if you are practicing any form of Dharma, in particularly Lojong, then whenever there's accusations comes towards you, whenever people take advantage of you, whenever people abuse you, whenever people kick you, slap you, do all the wrong thing, and still your heart stay composed, not separating from bodhicitta emptiness, and not retaliating, not fighting back, not like the worldly way, we go to court and we fight and we make sure we win, and we get the title of winner, that's a worldly way. In the actual Kadama masters, way, actual Dharma way is, you give the victory to others, in the practice of bodhicitta and emptiness. In a worldly way, you take all the loss, but then you gain all the gains of the spiritual benefit, and the like sweetening the development of bodhicitta emptiness. Okay, so therefore here it says, we ourselves too measure whether our mind is trained or not by measuring having trained your mind by this way. What I explained just before, the wording that read just before, like that. So in a short, whenever we were disturbed, then see whether your heart is disturbed or not. Whether your heart is, whenever you get the disturb, rather your heart is overwhelmed, completely filled with the bodhicitta emptiness or not. So that is the easy checking. If you don't remember this wording, just remember this. You don't remember the textual wording, just remember this. Whenever people harm you, whenever you get harmed, then instead of disturb mind, instead of feel replying, retaliating, whether your mind immediately gone into a meditation of emptiness or analytical meditation on emptiness, or arising of bodhicitta, love, compassion. If that happen, your mind is trained. If not, no. So again, regarding the 4 desirable things, which is the 4 of the 8 worldly concern, the 4 and the 4 undesirable things, the 4 of the 8 worldly concern, in the world, when you train the mind by focusing on the 4 undesirable things, everything becomes desirable. So in particularly in the practice of Dharma, you feel whenever there is a harm comes to your way, you feel yummy. You feel not offended. You rather feel that it's like you are put in a position to practice in the most sincere way, most wholehearted way, totally way. You see, like what Shantideva teaches on the Bodhisattva Charya, in all aspects of the practice, but in particularly in the in the chapter 6, when we talk about patience, when no one disturb you, how to practice patience. If people don't make you angry, how to practice patience, you see. So therefore you regard people harming you, as a teacher, that's the point here, you see. So yeah, so the Lojong practitioner, so the true Dharma practitioner, when they are in fact welcome the four undesirable things, yeah, they welcome loss, they welcome misery, they welcome degradation, and they welcome infamy, defaming, they welcome that, you see. They welcome that, you see. It doesn't mean they hope for that, but if someone put you in that position and they don't get disturbed, they feel well, they take onto path, you see. I saw there's one post, I think there's one teaching, like you, similar to that, they welcome all the harms, and they say if you welcome harms, then other people will accumulate negative karma, and this is not sound like a practice. So you see, so clarification to that is actually you are not asking the faults, you're only asking for virtues, but you only develop virtues. But if in case if there's any harm, any misfortune, negativity comes in your way, then you welcome them, means you welcome them to turn that into a development of the true altruism practices, like that. So you will find thus no narrow mountain terrain or impediments. Thus your mind will always be filled with joy, and the edifice of your mind training practice will not crumble. This too is a measure of having trained the mind. Again, when you have trained the mind in the dual practice of giving and taking, then whatever suffering, affliction, your body and mind, you will instantly have the thought, now what I have taken from others in the past has its consequences. And you will experience once again extraordinary sense of joy. When my late master, before he passed away, his body is really deteriorating, through sickness, and he, very loudly voiced that is so wonderful, and not only at the end, even when he was first diagnosed with sickness, the expression, what he says is so wonderful, so wonderful. I've been praying whole life to ripen all other suffering onto me, but now, actually, now I get chance to practice in the actual sense. You see, not just in the word, not just in the prayer, but the actual thing. So whatever I've been praying for whole life, now I achieve. How wonderful, So Geshe like totally gone into, like, he closed his eye, and really you can see the blissful, what the text saying, you can see that he is like in blissful, take the opportunity to really genuinely, means to practice the Tonglen practice. I read again. In brief, whatever undesirable event occur, if they become factor conducive for training your mind and cause no disquiet, this is the measure of having trained the mind. At that point, your remedy has reached its true depth. So in the practice of Lojong, in the practice of the taking the true altruism onto the path, and suddenly you got sickness, you were pronounced as near death. Even you not even other people pronounce, that you are dying. Just matter of day or time on the deathbed. There's no emotional suffering. You see, physically deteriorating, but your heart filled with the joy, with this teaching, with this understanding, with this practice. And this is the principal practice of the old Dharma. Even you are practicing Tantra, this is the thing that we have to carry on. This is the practice that supposed to cultivate. You see, so So then, heart filled with joy, heart filled with, Dharma, you see. So that way we secure, at the time of dying, and we secure rest of our journey in future lifetime. Okay. If this can be done even when distracted, you are trained. So this is the heading. Um, you know, see, when you see, this training has to be practiced, well, until it is so habituated in our continuum. It has to be very much in a meditative. The training has to get all the way up to the meditative state, so that it becomes spontaneous. So even there's emotional distraction, physical distractions, we will not miss taking this onto account of practice, you see. So at the time of dying, physically so weak, and emotionally also deteriorating our memories, and also the hallucinations. All these are distraction, and this distraction shouldn't be obstacle for us to take the Lojong practice, the remembering of bodhicitta. When we talk about the five power, the most familiar practice either is emptiness or bodhicitta, or love, kindness, compassion in our heart. You see. So therefore, now when we are healthy, we need to train it. We need to train all the way up to the meditative level, concentration on meditative level, so that even at the time when we're the most disturbing time, our mind still can be able to focus on the practice of true altruism. You see. And also in the arising of delusion like anger, etc. in our day-to-day life, that the negative emotion won't overwhelm us. Negative emotion won't hijack our practice of Lojong. And in fact, the practice of Lojong can able to effectively be antidote to eradicate the arising of delusions. You see. So therefore, when to train. Okay, here, when to train. In a good time, when there's no disturbances physically, emotionally, and that is the time that we need to read through this, we need to contemplate through this, we need to meditate through these points. Okay, that is the time that we need to train. Okay, that is the time we need to prepare. You see, and that preparation will take effect. When we are in the circumstances of negativities or distractions. You see, so that's what it meant. So just as a skilled horseman does not fall when distracted by the horse suddenly rearing up, in the same way, once your mind is trained, then even when unexpected adversity arises, such as unanticipated criticisms, denigration, you instantly cope by applying appropriate antidotes. You see. So if we don't train it, when everything is in harmonious to our practice, then we only practice when the distraction arises, we won't able to handle. You see. And this is again general understanding to any practices, to any form of practices. We need to practice when we have the conducive conditions. Then only we can able to apply in the crisis. You see. Then usually many people ask, yes, I know the patient is antidote to anger, and I want to apply the patient when I rise anger, but I cannot. People do ask how to go about it. You see, but many of these people is they try to remember the practice of patient when the anger is arising, but in other time they never practice. They never study. They never do analytical. They never meditate on the patient when there's no environment of anger. That's why they didn't train. That's why when the time the anger arises, they cannot control. You see, there's no remembrance of patient at all. So it goes similar to all the practices. You see, to answer the question, when to practice, when you have all the conducive, when it is a good time into practice, and that is a kind of preparing like that. So in this way, if adversity becomes factor conducive to the awakening mind, and if you do not fall prey to the adverse condition, your mind is trained. So furthermore, cultivate the thought like this: the time of death is uncertain, and were it to come suddenly, I have no means of facing it other than this practice. So always should remind this. Always should remind the fact of death and impermanent and uncertainty of time of death. And this is the motivation for us to practice all the time. Learn Dharma all the time and meditate Dharma all the time. Even in the good time. Especially in the good time, we must practice because death is certain, time of death is uncertain. A thing like that, and continue to think this is true Dharma. Wonderful indeed is my path. The Lojong way of practicing is the true Dharma, and it is wonderful indeed. This should be my path. So always should think like that. The taking adversities onto the path to enlightenment through the tool of bodhicitta and emptiness is the true Dharma. Is the indeed is the path. Always should remind that. Always get reminded that. So in this manner, make sure you fortify the mind so that no matter when you die, you will do so joyfully and with the pleasurable warmth within. So if we're able to practice this way from now on, then even if the death comes, we don't have to worry. Everything will be taken care of. If you possess this sign of being trained, the illness and harm caused by possessors will enhance your relationship. So you see, even in the case of the health issue, mental body health issue by harm by spirits, etc. Then harm by spirits or non-humans, can be nagas, etc. Then whenever such harm that you are experiencing in this form of sickness or obstacle, and you take those experiences on the path to enlightenment by cultivating bodhicitta emptiness, then the harm giver become helpful to you. Harm givers start to stop harming you. Become harmony with you. Like that. So this is what his Holiness all the time says. Whenever like we think spirit harm, etc., non-human harms, the best antidote is to cultivate bodhicitta, and emptiness. So this doesn't mean that you need not train your mind further. So even you have achieved this kind of sign of your mind is trained, it doesn't mean that you should stop there. No, you should continue to develop. Even you achieve the full matured bodhicitta and emptiness, you realize emptiness directly. You have a full matured emptiness was a bodhicitta, even supported by emptiness. You just achieve the path of seeing. Still you need to progress through the rest of the 10 bhumis. So that is in fact is very much firmly starting of actualizing the all the gradual realization on the path to the absolute liberation. You see, but when you have that kind of sign of mind train, then you are in the right path. You are in the right training. And just continue to practice that. Then it will naturally help to develop the path. So, so this merely present the measure of when the application of the remedy this merely present the measure of when the application of the remedy attain the measure of completeness, like that. Okay, so I stop here. Yeah, again, I took some of your extra time. Yeah, so we conclude with a short dedication. So all the merit accumulated individually and merit accumulated collectively by us, within this session, and all the merit accumulated by past, present, future Buddhas, we dedicate for the peace and happiness of numberless sentient beings, from temporary peace and happiness up to the ultimate happiness, full enlightenment. We also dedicate this collective merit to eradicate all the sufferings that sentient beings are experiencing, all the suffering that humans are experiencing. In right now, the sufferings of coronavirus be eliminated, and all the cure, the antidotes to actualize without delay. May this collective merit be complete cause for all the world leaders, the leader of the organizations, leaders of the family, everyone, gain the wisdom and have the loving kindness, compassion, so that people under them can able to, live happily, harmoniously, peacefully. Will dedicate may this collective merit be a complete cause for all the people and animals who pass away, in particular in the last 49 days. May this collective merit be the cause for them to free from the suffering of hallucination, free from the suffering of intermediate state, free from the suffering of the rebirth in the samsara, and actualize higher rebirth and meet the path and actualize full liberation. May this collective merit be a complete cause for all the good people in this world, like His Holiness the Dalai Lama, Jabja Lama Sopa Rinpoche, and all the spiritual gurus and all the people who work for the cause of peace and happiness of sentient being, to have a long, healthy life and fulfill all their aspirations, for the benefit of numberless sentient beings, peace and happiness. And also dedicate this to all your family members and each and every one of you to have a long, healthy, prosperous life, and actualize all your aspirations, up to the actualization of full enlightenment for the benefit of numberless sentient beings. We also dedicate to all the people who have requested prayers from our gurus, requested prayers from me, requested prayers from you, to those who pass away. We dedicate the merit. Also, those who are unwell in their health, who have health issues, like David, Adam, Mr. Ha, Tony, and Ochimbad, and the others whose names are submitted in a prayer supports and prayer dedications. Overcome all their sufferings, and all the treatment become most effective, and able to enjoy long, healthy, and most meaningful life, and actualize full meaning of the precious human rebirth, which is actualizing the complete realization on the path up to the full enlightenment. Then lastly, we dedicate this collective merit be complete cause for each and every one of us and all the human beings and all the rest of the other beings eventually, to able to meet the Lojong teaching, meet the practice and teachings of bodhicitta and emptiness, and able to practice perfectly, and able to transform entire samsara onto the path to enlightenment. And we ourselves able to practice this perfectly. Thank you very much. And please do at least read through one more time, on the section that we have covered, and try to make it very clear, as we discuss in the session, the real purpose of why we are practicing Dharma, why we are practicing Sutra, Tantra, why we are practicing vows, why we have Guru, why we call as a Buddhist practitioner. why we have refuge, etc. To really to have a very clear mind and try to meditate on it, and until it become a full mindfulness, so that every single our practices become a genuine practice, true Dharma practice, absolute cause of liberation and full enlightenment. Okay, so thank you very much, and take care, and have a meaningful days ahead. Take care. Bye bye.